open session. It is 8.
Recording in progress.
Utility director, you have the floor. We're going over utilities.
Real quick, this presentation has all three departments all in one, so it'll be super quick. On the noteworthy changes, there's nothing really to talk about. A lot of it went down, except for the wastewater department. Now, the wastewater department does have some increases, notable increases, but they're only upsized because last year there was an error in the placement of the line items, so that's why they only. I don't know if anybody wishes to discuss that, but I mean, the increases are there, but it looks worse because last year there was just a line item error, and that's basically why it looks so bad. But the biggest increase came to 411. That is a lot. Well, it shouldn't be that much, but because of the line item error, it makes it look like it's a lot. But it's actually, I want to say, Crystal, can you highlight wastewater department?
On the phone?
Right there.
Oh,
204.11. It shows it's 100. 9. I don't know. Okay, 411. It shows a 119 increase. That's not the case. It's not 119. I just put it like that because last year was a line item error. It's more like $30,000 increase, only because of the maintenance to our UV system has gone through the roof, like literally.
You're right.
There's no way. Our UV system.
Oh, UV.
Yeah, disinfection system. It literally has gone through the roof. I mean, there's no way of sugarcoating it. It's just horrible. But it is, and that's strictly operational. There's nothing extra or contingency, anything involved in that line item. But that's basically it. Everything else stayed pretty much the same. There's not enough. I know it says that it's more, but only because of the line item error from last year. Any questions on this?
Why is there a low water pressure right now going on?
What's that?
Why is there low water pressure right now though?
It could be a lot of things. I mean, it could be a couple things. The demand might be great. It might be too big for our system, our little system. Or it could be a water leak that we don't know about, that somebody hasn't reported. Yeah, hasn't reported it just yet, and then we'll find out in the morning. We did have one on, what's that street? Vaughn Road. On Vaughn Road that nobody knew about, so we fixed it, and it seemed to help quite a bit. So because the lady quit calling.
Yeah.
But that could be one or two things. The demand is there, but because it's hot. It's really hot. So it could be the demand or a water leak, undetected water leak. The other two departments don't really have anything worth talking about. Of course, there's another meet and greet there, and we'll go straight to our wish list items. These are truly wish list items. I mean, they're all needs. Don't get me wrong, but these are the two. The first ones are the two submitted by the water department. Now they have two because they're requesting a small jetter. Even though we have a jetter already, that jetter is attached to an excavation truck, a water jetting truck. And what they do, if they're using it for excavating, then we gotta wait till they finish. So the water department usually, does all of the sewer backups and all that good stuff. And so, but without that backup truck, we can't move forward. We have to wait. Sometimes it's like a 3-4 hour wait before we can get to that sewer backup because they're using it for excavating purposes. So it's like a first come, first serve. But if they had their own, then they can address both issues concurrently. And then the other thing is because there's a lack. Also, we also are without a dump truck on the water side. That one went out years ago, like literally years ago. So what they're asking is for a dump trailer, which is literally a fraction of the price for a dump trailer, and this will work for the water department. It's everything they need.
Is that the one you showed us on the picture?
That was for the street department, that's a
Okay, yeah.
dump truck,
Now
they
you
need a
want the
dump truck.
water dump.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
all right.
water department is asking for a dump trailer.
Yeah, the dump.
So, and it's 13,000 versus 110,000. It's
What do you
basically
dump for that treasure, Hector? What are y'all using it for?
everything under the sun. I mean, whatever spoils, the spoils are the contents of dirt and soil that we, that accumulate after a job. After we excavate for a water leak or put in a new line or whatever the case may be, the spoils get accumulated. We can't put the stuff back in there that came out of it because we'd have a sinkhole within a few days, so we have to put in fresh caliche or rock or soil or dirt, whatever the job requires, and this is what carries it off to the job site. It takes the bad stuff out and brings the good stuff in. And again, we're using a third party to get our stuff in, you know, from location to location, depending on the size of the job, and it's costly, $600 a haul. That's what it comes down to.
Pay for that pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. So this will pay for itself in no time. And then the other wish list item is this little contraption here. Huge pricing. This is a gas leak detector. And I backed this little item 100% because we here recently, this past year, we haven't failed any of our leak services. We go through two tests a year from the state, and they gave us A+ rate or A rating, you know, on our. So we're doing pretty good with what we have. The thing is, that thing is 24 years old, I think is what they told me. So there's a lot of things involved. This is an all-in-one handheld thing you can do. You don't have to stick nothing in the ground or drive so far out of the wire, hanging, you know, stuff like that. You know, this is an all-in-one. It's the latest tech, but the only bad thing is pricey. It's literally this big.
Does it give you like parts per million?
It does all that. It'll detect the leak on the private side, so to where we don't have to get a consent to enter the property from the property owner, and that's a hassle. That's anytime there's a sizable leak, that we have to take the meter off completely. But in order to do that, we have to have consent from the property owner to investigate where that leak is actually on that side of it. So it takes time. Sometimes it takes a couple of days to get consent from the owner. So this could detect it from afar, as far as 20 yards away. It'll detect it, and we can determine whether the leak's on their side or our side. And that's a plus, because we do away with the consent to enter the property. And that's basically it. Everything else is.
Council, do you have any questions for our utility director? Just adding that up, his wish list totals about 100,000.
Pretty close.
And
More or less, yeah.
so we'll see at a later date the total of all the equipment. Read that, looking on that. So really, we're looking at three kind of debt instruments: hard rock, the I-35, and the equipment. And so when it comes time to pull the trigger on that, we'll be looking at the implications of the debt. But all three of these, a payment won't be in 23, 24. It'll most likely be. Are we gonna have
Two of them.
Hard rock will be this year.
Yes.
Hard rock will be in this budget year. Gotcha.
Hector, that's the price for the gas detector?
15,000, correct. And that, we did do our research on the quality, because there's only like 2 people that offer it, and only this guy is on our back pocket. This is our vendor. Our vendor is actually providing this, and that's how much it costs. Now the next one up is 31,000. 31, and it goes all the way up to $70,000 if we want to get the best of the best. This is what we need right here for this area.
Wow.
Yeah, so they get, the one we have now, 24 years ago, cost us like maybe $13,000, I think, you know what I'm saying? 12, 13.
So council, my understanding is we'll get a chance to look at the complete list, and when will that be, Fred? The list of all the equipment?
Well, again, if this wasn't a list that he has on, we're not gonna incorporate that into that, so his request, it wasn't on the list that we're talking about, is not gonna include that. Because again, that's not part of
Okay,
the,
I'm sorry.
what we're talking about, we would just add, it's whatever was requested, he didn't put it on the list this year, he put it on his request list, but I think what we were talking about, the equipment we were looking at was, what's the street equipment, I think the equipment for parks, ED equipment.
So none of this, would it?
This, all this is in there.
Could we put it on?
It's in there.
Yeah, it's all in
You
there.
have to, we could put it on there, again, on that end, council, looking to see the debt we drop off, we can get into the details of what's dropping off and what's adding on to, what we don't want is I don't know, you gave that list to,
Stephanie,
right,
which I just texted to you.
does that include that?
Yes.
It includes it,
Okay, well, then that
and it
includes-
gives you a breakdown of how much each equipment costs us for the total of all of them, and then your 5 annual payments and 7 annual payments.
I think it shows a $539,000,
Minus the hot water.
Which you're not gonna do. Cause if we get that jet heater, that does.
So- the 7-year note would be about $95,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, so all the equipment presented tonight would be 539. Minus-
Okay,
minus
so
the hot
with or without this that we just discussed for you?
With-
It's
with-
included.
Does that include that?
Yes, it's
I
included
don't-
with
I
it.
didn't remember.
Okay.
Okay, so
So
that
that number was 530?
539.
Okay.
Yeah, $95,000
Mhm.
service.
So all in all, right now, just with the, if we were to do something like this, and what we've already done with the Hard Rock, we're talking about $170,000 additional debt. That doesn't
Debt
include.
service?
Yes, sir.
That's a year.
Yes, sir.
170,000.
It doesn't include, the big
Right.
dollar amount of the,
It's gonna be a big one.
Mhm.
I'll have to think about that one. So it'll be a significant amount of money. These things will help us again, more on our end for maintenance purposes. Trying to just keep up with maintenance and operation, but the big number is gonna be that water and sewer. That's gonna be.
And Fred, in a nutshell, so the 175,000 annual payment, you're estimating, again, does that kind of compensate with the debt reduction in payments, or is it about even? or-
We're gonna see an increase, Mayor, from what I'm gauging is, I have to make sure and look at the entire schedule, but we're gonna see increases in 24, 25, and probably 25, 26. We should start seeing decreases 27, 28, because we'll be through, again, I don't wanna get into all the details on the board, but I can if you want.
Well, we're gonna get a chance to see the big picture of that.
So I'm asking on that end, because we're scheduled to have a public hearing on the tax rate on the 5th. I don't know that is there any other venues or times y'all like to meet again, to discuss, because I wanna make sure that, if you wanna look at all the debt service, I believe we include the debt service in the budget. But when they drop off, I think that's important, James, and we can get that to the council, so y'all know when the debt starts being, paid off. The biggest things we're seeing on our end, and just from what I can remember off the top, is the biggest debt service that in 2027 will be the, one of the bond, the 2012 bond, and the other one's gonna be the water meters. You're paying right now, and right now, we're at the peak of paying on debt service. So right now, we're making some payments of, I wanna say $500,000 or $600,000 per bond. The 2012 bond and the 2016 bond, which is in your tax rate. That's what's incorporated in your tax rate. The other smaller debt service, the other million or so, is all paying $800,000, give or take, is being paid out of utilities. So we have to look at these options as to when we're gonna take on more debt, how we're gonna structure this so we're not putting ourselves and the public and the community in a bind to where we have a tough time paying the debt and have to increase rates or whatever to pay this off. But we're scheduled to take a significant amount of debt off in 2027, which is I would say about $800,000, which is the 2012 bond, the water meters, and I believe we'll be through paying for the vehicles, and a couple other vehicles. So I'm talking probably between $800,000 to $1 million of debt that will be coming off. Now, with that being said, we also have to consider that, whatever debt we bring on. We bring on this $10 million note, you can see where the escalation of how that's gonna affect our debt service. The debt service council, quite frankly, it's like most of this other stuff, you have to, as best you can, try to manage it to where you're not affecting your utility rates and your tax rates to where you just can't explain it to the public. Quite frankly, it's that simple. My goal is, and again, I don't wanna get into all the details, but I will, is we need to find a balance of what's being paid from utilities, what's being paid from taxes. What we've been doing historically here has been, we've been paying a lot of our debt service, what we owe, the money that we owe, we've been paying it through taxation. What we're trying to do is find that balance. And the reason for that is this, is that most of the public improvements you're doing that are being done are for utilities. They're not for streets, they're not for the library, they're not for the police department, they're not for all the general fund stuff we discussed, but that's what's been subsidizing, paying for a lot of some of this debt. So the goal is to balance that out to where you're starting to see the utility system pay for some of this debt that was, taken on, 2012, 2016, 2014. Those are your big debt issuances, 2012, 2014, 2016. You have the 2012 bond, you have the 2016 bond, and you had the 2014 purchase of meters. So you had, what was 2014, I believe. You had the purchase of those meters. And maybe, I can make sure that's, but you had about, during that time span, you had about $17 million of debt that was issued. Give or take, maybe more. But I'll leave it at that. So that's what we're trying to do right now. Manage the debt, where we're not making it so uncomfortable for people, but it is debt that has to be paid back.
So Fred, I would definitely like to just abbreviate and look at that. Maybe can we do that at that meeting when we have the public
Yeah,
hearing?
we could
Schedule that at the beginning?
Yeah, I could do that. We'll provide you, and I think we'd ask, well, again, James, they have the schedule right now, what we're paying this year. But I think what they want is a breakdown of when this debt's gonna come off. And then from our standpoint, again, I'll get into this and how, I'm gonna be here, what we have to do is we have to get with bond counsel, we have to get with people that are Texas Water Development Board, I have to get with people that are financial advisors, then we have to determine how we structure this. And what I mean by structure is when you structure debt, you have to determine, okay, how am I gonna pay for this? Am I gonna just pay for interest first? Am I gonna pay for principals and interest? Because what you're paying right now we're paying primarily, the mayor probably knows this, but you guys may not, we're paying primarily for principal, and we are paying for some interest. But on the front end, you're paying for a lot of interest. So what we're trying to do is figure out a way to say, okay, how do we do it to where our payments, we may be able to pay some interest at the beginning, and we're not having to pay on principal because our payments we just can't handle those payments. And so, we're trying to structure this to where we're not overwhelming the taxpayer, the utility rate payer, in saying that there has to be that balance of coming up with a formula that works for what we're trying to do. And so, the community has a lot of work, has a lot of needs. These guys have done a pretty good job of giving you what their needs are from day-to-day stuff. The public improvements, things we're talking that are big projects, millions of dollars. I mean, that's where, it takes more than just your day-to-day maintenance and operation. That can be a useful tool, but it's something that, as the council knows, we have to be cautious with. And I want to make sure that we're square on the caution. It's okay, but again, when it comes to paying it back, that's the first question that, in my opinion, that the community, the entity, the government entity, the city council should ask. First thing is, the projects sound good. The very next question is, and this is the dollar amount, how are we gonna pay for it? And then stick behind whatever it is that however we structure this, right? But I think the question, and I get it from that standpoint, it gets difficult because the good part is we're gonna do these projects. The bad part is, well, now we have to find a way to pay for it, and then, that affects rates and everything else, your tax rates, water rates, and everything. But right now, what you see is in the budget is at least $2 million of it is going to pay debt.
So you can see it's really important that we look at those numbers and understand the path forward, so you can do that.
Yep.
Fred's going to be about breaking that down, so. Okay, well, y'all, anything else for you chiefs? Pretty cut and dried, so at this point, Fred, where do we go from here?
We have our public hearing on this on September the 5th for the tax rate. We're scheduled to approve the budget on September the 12th, assuming there's nothing, any other changes. But again, if you want to, if you're proposing changes from here to there, you know, as far as the public hearing and the, and just the overall line items or operations, some of the amendments in operation, let us know, please. I mean, on that end, we took into some of the things you've